Hello there, my name is Solmaz, and you're listening to Tabling Thoughts podcast. In this podcast, I talk about my experiences as a relationship coach and psychotherapist. The little things that I noticed in my clients' day to day lives, which may affect the quality of their lives and relationships enormously, and for some reasons, they don't pay that much of attention to them. As I mentioned, I'm a relationship coach and I also practice as a psychotherapist in Ontario, Canada. In order to get more information about me, you may check my Instagram account, YouTube, or my other podcasts via the links in description. You are listening to the 14th episode of the Tabling Thoughts podcast, and I'm going to talk about the concept of fading out in relationships. In relationships, fade out describes a slow reduction in chemistry, intimacy, and partnership communication. In contrast to a harsh breakup, the fade out process is a gradual and frequently entailed several small adjustments and actions that signify a relationship is fading. There are some essential traits of a relationship fade out, which I'm going to talk about some of them. The first one is the reduced communication. Conversations between partners become less frequent, of lower quality. Calls and messages start to happen less frequently and become more fleeting. The second trait is the decreased effort. Partners may need to work harder to spend time together or make the other feel special. Shared activities and dates become infrequent. The third one is emotional distance. Of course, as a result of the first two items I talked about, there is an increasing emotional divide. One or both partners may feel less respected, understood, or linked. There will be an absence of future planning too. Plans, whether long or short term, start to appear less frequently or never at all. One of the most painful traits that you can see in this kind of fade out relationships is indifference. There is an overall feeling of indifference towards the connection, and little things that used to bother you now seem to be insignificant. They don't bother you anymore. And of course, there would be physical distance. There is a marked decline in physical intimacy and affection. There will be avoidance of conflict. Couples or partners may choose to avoid conflict to resolve issues and prevent additional emotional distance. That's easier, right? Concept of fade out can be specifically very difficult because it frequently lacks a definitive ending or a precise event that signifies the end of the relationship, meaning that you don't know if you're really ending the relationship, how does the relationship look like, and the fact that both partners avoid conflict and avoid straightforward conversations, it makes it very difficult to figure out in which step of ladder you are. As a result of this vagueness, it may be more difficult for partners to digest their feelings and move on. Sometimes a complete fade out can be avoided and the situation can be revitalized by identifying the signals early, resolving underlying difficulties through honest conversation or obtaining professional assistance. Now let's talk about the reasons that a relationship may fade out. Listening to this episode and the introduction and traits of fading out in relationship, you may think that what are the reasons that a relationship may fade out? Let's talk about them. The first reason could be the absence of communication. In any relationship, effective communication is crucial. Emotional distance and misconceptions can result from partners ceasing to communicate their ideas, emotions, and expectations and experiences. The second one could be decreased prioritizations and effort. As time passes, partners may begin to take one another for granted and make less of an effort to keep their relationship going. Less romantic gestures, fewer date evenings, and an overall drop in attention and care are some ways that this may show itself. Emotional disconnection, unresolved disputes, unfulfilled demands, or a growing distance between partners can all lead to emotional detachment. This may result from feelings of isolation and discontent in the partnership. Another reason can be boredom and routine. Remember, relationships need work, maintenance, and the maintenance and work could be the spice that the partners would add to the relationship from time to time. So, relationships can occasionally descend into a routine that lacks interest and freshness, lacks spontaneous gestures. This may make couples feel disinterested and bored, dimming the excitement in the relationship. Another reason that has been playing a bigger role in couples' day to day life are the external stressors. Relationships can be severely strained by life events like job shifts, money problems, or family problems. When partners become less focused on one another and more on outside issues, these stressors may cause a fade out if they are not well controlled. Another reason could be unresolved conflicts. Unresolved conflicts that persist over time can weaken a relationship's basis. These disputes may result in animosity and emotional disengagement if they are not appropriately resolved. Another big and bold reason is infidelity. In a partnership, trust is essential. If infidelity or trust violations are not appropriately addressed and repaired, they can result in serious harm, including emotional detachment and a slow fade out. In some researchers, there have been another factor called personal development and change. When in challenges and problems, one of the partners work more on themselves, on their personal development, and that can occasionally take people in different ways, which can naturally cause a drift apart if the changes are incompatible with the relationship dynamic. The other reason that has been reported by many partners with fading out problem is physical separation. Sustaining long distance relationships or prolonged physical times apart might be challenging. A gradual fade out may result from a lack of intimacy and physical presence. Okay, so far we talked about fade out traits and the reasons fade out may happen or cause in relationship. Let's talk about resolving problems that cause relationships to fade out. Meaning that let's talk about some proactive and deliberate strategies. There are some tactics to help preserving and improving the relationships. The first one could be successful interaction. Partners can arrange meetings to discuss emotions, worries, and happy memories via frequent check-ins. This guarantees that both partners feel heard and understood and felt, while also keeping the channels of communication open. Doing so, partners need to make sure they engage in active listening. We need to provide our partners our undivided attention, acknowledge their emotions, and intelligently answer. Another technique to prevent any fade outs in relationship is basically to put the relationship first, meaning that partners need to spend quality time together. away from electronic devices and work-related distractions. Frequent activities or date evenings can maintain a strong bond. Express your appreciation and gratefulness. Consistently share with your partner how grateful you are and what are the points that you admire them. According to researchers, little things like compliments, thank you letters, and unplanned acts of kindness can significantly impact the relationship. And of course, maintaining emotional intimacy. Talk to each other about your deepest worries, aspirations, and innermost thoughts. Increasing emotional closeness can strengthen ties and foster understanding. Break the routines and disturb the norm. Spontaneous actions always help the relationship to get to another level. Go on trips, try out new things together, or start a new pastime as a couple. Work on your passion and interest in the relationship, which can be achieved by introducing new activities as we talk about. In order to let your partner know that you appreciate their presence in your life and you're thinking of them, plan last-minute surprises or spontaneous gestures, such as tiny gifts. Try to control and manage outside stressors. When you're in crisis or an external stressor hits your relationship, offer assistance when things go tough. Help one another out by paying attention to their worries, by acknowledging their pain, and try to overcome the obstacles together as a team. Make sure that your obligations in terms of relationships, work, and personal life are all in harmony. Make sure that in spite of outside pressure, the relationship always comes first. Mutual goal setting could be a brilliant way to get closer to your partner and maintain the relationship. Set and discuss common objectives for future. Sharing goals and objectives can deepen the connection and give the partnership some beautiful direction. When it comes to conflict resolution, try to keep it constructive, meaning that be upfront and kind when resolving disputes. Instead of pointing fingers, looking for faults, concentrate on finding fixes. Practice forgiveness and let go of past grudges. When partners communicate openly and honestly with one another, they're building a dependable behavior pattern that are the foundations of trust. And of course, when damage happens, any kind of damage, we need to able to conduct some repairing efforts to heal the betrayed parts of the relationship. To do so, we need to take proactive steps to restore our integrity first. This could entail committing to change, seeking professional help like counseling, and looking for constructive action plans. And last but not least, seek professional help. Couples counseling may be a good option if emotional detachment continues, or even when you see signs of any kind of detachment in your relationship. A therapist can facilitate healthy communication and identify underlying difficulties. Remember, it's crucial to communicate demands and desire honestly. Couples can address the causes of a fade out and move toward a healthier, more satisfying relationship by putting these strategies in practice. I hope this episode of podcast was helpful for you. I would love to read your comments and have your input on this episode. Till next episode, take good care of yourself.